Hey guys, Veebat here with another V-Plays. Taking a look at the P-38J. The P-38J was the first aircraft in this line that I decided was going to be my keeper aircraft. I really fell in love with the P-38J when I was a young child, and we went to the library and my mom let us pick out a book, and the book I picked was Famous Aircraft of World War II. And when I was looking through those designs, it was mostly a picture book showing the size and dimensions of the aircraft and what they really were and what they were capable of. And as I went through, I guess I was kind of bored with all the other aircraft. I'm like, yeah, it's pretty straightforward. There's a propeller in the front and some wings and a tail. And then I saw this thing and I'm like, what the heck is this? It's got two engines and two tails. And then I was even more intrigued when I found out that the Germans called this thing the twin-tailed devil, and I loved everything about that. That was so intriguing to me. I just thought it was really cool and pretty BA that there was this aircraft that was known as the twin-tailed devil by the enemy. It was so neat to me. And it was quite a lot of fun. Whoop, I got work to do. It was quite a lot of fun for me to like envision what this may have been like in combat. The other thing that really intrigued me was the fact that the guns were situated in the nose, in this special pod, like this gun pod, that allowed him to be able to fire the guns without having to go through propeller, because for some reason that always bugged me as a kid. I'm like, are you kidding me? Why is the gun on all these planes shooting through the propeller? I thought that was kind of dumb. So when I saw this thing, I'm like, man, that's awesome. And then I discovered it not only had machine guns, but it had cannons as well. I'm like, that's just too cool. And it was a dive bomber. Just a lot of really cool features. So when I was playing the game, I'm like, man, I really want to fly the P-38. I think it would be really cool. But what I ended up discovering, though, was that in this game, heavy fighters are a completely different dynamic. It's different than anything we've probably ever been used to for flying in combat, because it's a boom and zoom. And boom and zoom was relatively new to me. I didn't understand exactly how it worked. Oh, there you go. So I took my time and I really spent a lot of effort on the J model to try it out. When I was doing the F, I didn't bother unlocking the 37mm cannon in the nose because the guys were telling me, yeah, it's great if you can hit the target, and acted like that was the big downfall of the aircraft, was that cannon just wasn't what they wanted. But I like this cannon. This cannon is what gives the oomph to the airplane. Like the P-38F just felt like it just didn't have the damage output that it needed for the tier. Like, where's the big hit? Where's that heavy boom and zoom? It was more, it had the zoom for sure, but it didn't have the boom aspect. Man, this is their spawn, isn't it? I just realized that. I'm in trouble. It's okay. I'm not in a capture zone. And I have the zoom. See you guys. And we got targets over here I should be going after. So once I got a handle on the whole boom and zoom tactic, like not getting roped into turning fights with the enemy, it actually turned out to be quite an effective piece of machinery. And that 37mm really changes the game. You just have to be aware of what I like to call false hit indicators. So with all these different 50 cals in the nose, you get that really satisfying ka-chunk, or that clicking noise of making contact with a target. So with the 50 cals, you get that noise even though you might not be hitting with that 37, and it has a different flight profile. But the range is relatively the same, which makes it a little bit easier to deal with. So once I got a handle on all that, it really just changed this aircraft for me entirely. Who's coming at me? He's turning in. Ooh, he rammed me. And he lived. Okay, cool, whatever. But that 37 really kicked it over the edge for me. So what I suggest is, if you guys are going down the P-38 line, at least on the J model, give it a shot. Give the 37 a shot, and I think you'll find that it's really going to change it. That cannon gives enough critical damage to be able to take out components fairly effectively, and really put a hurting on the enemy. I should go after that bomber. I think those guys got the rocket base in hand. Famous last words. But I need to flip that bomber out of there. The other nice thing about the J model compared to the F is I don't need to choose between bombs and rockets. It carries both. So I have bombs and I have rockets available in this aircraft. And since I've had this aircraft for so long, since it's my keeper, I am able to put a lot of skill points into the pilot. Where is he? He's down low. So the skill points I have in this pilot are for Engine Guru, as well as he's coming up now. Marksman. I stole that. He was already dead. As well as Marksman, because we want that 37 to hit, and I, just for shiggles, put on Demolition Expert, because, like I said, I like having bombs and rockets. Having bombs and rockets makes this thing really intriguing. Whoa! Gotcha! We really need to capture something. That's going to be a problem. We're keeping our altitude up, so that way we can engage targets that we want to engage at a higher altitude, because a lot of these fighters at this lower tier are going to have problems crawling up here and still having the maneuverability and speed to contend with what we have inherently in the aircraft.
You'll soon be cut off from support. I say again, support.
Now, I could have turned on that guy, and it was really tempting to do so, because look how low his health is, but I have the zoom, so even though he's trying to chase after me, I can get away. And we're doing our turnarounds in an up and over fashion, and I'm using my boost to get me over even quicker, because we are getting to the point where the engine power is going to start to become an issue. Yep, here's that. One more aircraft, huh? Can I kill? Oh, hey buddy. What are you doing up here, Sergeant Snipes? So, even though I said that this thing has pretty lethargic guns by comparison to its peers at this point, it is the most maneuverable heavy fighter at this tier. And the Americans kind of keep that title for quite a while. It's beefy, we got a lot of hit points, we're fast, we've got air-to-ground munitions. Whoop, what do we got? Up high? Okay, I'll go up high. This is where I live. His maneuverability is lacking up here. Stern chase, I can do that. But we're going to disengage now because he's got friendlies with him. I am going to go after this. Whoop, they are on me. I'm going to go after this base because why the heck not? They got this main structure in the middle, which is the one that's going to be hardest for my teammates to be able to take out. So I'm going to offload all my munitions here. And that'll definitely take that point. Well, not the point, but take that building out. What is behind me that is keeping up? 209. Well, I'm drawing him out of the fight, and it looks like one of my buddies is on his tail, so that's good. I'm going to see which direction he's heading as I continue to evade him, because I want to keep my distance. I don't like turning around until I'm at least at 3,000, and this guy is pretty quick, apparently. Still chasing me, still chasing me. 3,000, that'll work. Now I can get my guns on him as he's coming by. No, he rammed me. Okay.
Make a final push.
We won. There you go. That was kind of a close one, actually, but not too bad. I don't even know who we had for players. We had quite a few players over there. 12 targets, ground sectors, yada yada yada. But this is the plane that I learned to play my heavies in. And if you've watched any of my videos, you'll see that I fly quite a few heavies. I know some of my initial videos were bombers, but heavies is where I kind of settled. It was mostly because of this plane. Once I learned how to fly this, I found that this is where my niche was. And as a result, I went all the way down this line. The F7F, it loses a lot of the maneuverability, but is still really strong with cannons. It has good bombs. It has good rockets. And then after you're done with that, you get this bad boy, which is known for being the most OP tier 8 heavy plane in the game. The thing is just nasty. And then the culmination, of course, is going to be the XF-90, the fastest plane in the game. 6 20mm cannons, just massive damage output. So the whole line was enjoyable for me. I really liked it, and the F-7F looked really cool. But this thing is my iconic aircraft from my childhood. And just look at the air-to-ground munitions. I mean, 10 5-inch rockets and 2 500-pound bombs. I mean, you take a look at this thing, you're kicking out 4,300 damage, and that's not taking into account my demolition expert. The 37mm cannon, its range is 1772, and the range of the machine guns is 1772. So you're going to be firing all these at the same time, and you're going to be so close that that whole, I'm not sure I'm going to hit with a 37mm, isn't that much of a factor because you're that much closer. When you're flying with the 23 or even the 20, it fires out well beyond 2,200 meters, so you are getting the hit indicators for the 50 cals, and this thing's time of flight for the 20s was just so long that, yeah, I thought I was getting good hits, but I actually wasn't hitting with the real nasty gun that's could chunk away a bunch of their health and make them regret ever coming up against me. And I found myself losing a lot of head-on engagements with other heavy fighters, so I started using rockets and getting a lot of air-to-air rocket kills against heavies that decide to head on me because I just spammed the R key in their general direction while holding down the trigger. And if you're ever flying against me, you'll know that unless I'm flying anything but a heavy, I will never duck away from a game of chicken in my heavy. I will fly straight at you. If you don't want to turn, then we have had mutually assured destruction. We're going to ram into each other. Engine power is really good for the tier airspeed 391, nasty, real fast, good altitude performance, can get up to get those tier 6 bombers. Like I said, I prioritize speed and accuracy on all of my American aircraft. So I'm using the improved reflector sight. A lot of people argue that since these are center line, it's not that much of a factor. I don't care. I want my 37 to hit, even at range. So I'm putting all my effort into that. Engine tuning, I want that increased engine power because I want to make that climb and I want to be able to get that acceleration. You guys saw I really wasn't wanting for power, even though it was flying at high altitude, making high angle turns. I was able to maintain my speed. Improved aircraft polish on heavies gives you plus 25% to acceleration in the dive, which is great for when you decide that you're gonna come back down, or if you're just trying to get away, you nose down and you swoop away from the enemy because you're gonna get up to your top speed much faster than any of the light fighters that try and chase you, and you get an increase the overall max speed. So all great things. And I already kind of mentioned that my cruise skills, I goofed around with this one. I could, once I get this next skill point, throw that into Marksman 2, but for playing around in tier 6, which is low tier for me now, this is enough. The engine guru gives me some more engine thrust, which is only compounded by the engine tuning, and then the Marksman decreasing the dispersion is again enhanced by the improved reflector sight. And guys, we're carrying a ton of air-to-ground ordnance. You saw me flip the cap early on in the game by dropping those 2 500-pound bombs. That's what this is for. This thing can flip caps, it can intercept bombers, it can take out other heavies. Any light fighters that aren't paying attention or are otherwise engaged, you can take them out. If they decide to chase you, you can flip it around. Heavy fighters can dictate a lot of fights, and the American aircraft are known for being fast, maneuverable, and even though they don't have the gun power, it's augmented by your ability to manipulate those other two aspects. And that's what gives you the liberty to do essentially whatever you want in a game mode, because who cares? You're not fixated on a particular role with a weakness that is so dire that you can't control what fight you get into. And that's why I like these aircraft. I know I'm kind of blathering on, but this is my favorite airplane. I mean, I've got my premium camo on here and stuff. I mean, this one was the gift camo. I think it looks kind of cool with the face, but I purchased this camo because I thought it looked like an old 50s car. It just looked cool to me. In fact, I think I'm going to throw that back on for a couple of these. But it's a cool aircraft to go through, and you can see I've played it quite a bit. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. if you're thinking about going down through any of the heavy lines, and you are going to go down the Americans, take the time to get used to how they play and dominating the fight by being able to control what you engage, when you engage it, and if you are going to go up against a heavy, you can counter it pretty easily with the maneuverability of this particular airframe. Be aware though, when you get to the F7F, it loses that maneuverability, and you got to start learning a whole new game style. Hope you enjoyed the video. Like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you guys think. I'm going to try and pump out a video every day, maybe more than one. It just depends on how the battles go.